To be on TikTok, you can't just be a creator. You're a creator and a user and a watcher and you're everything. You're there because you want to be part of that wider TikTok world.
What I like about TikTok as a creator is that you can access really niche audiences. You can be really specific with the content that you create.
You can find an audience that's already interested in the topic. So WitchTok had something like upwards of 12 billion views under that hashtag. So depending on what your area of interest is, if you look for that with talk at the end, you'll be able to see if there's an audience for like the content you want to make. So Witch Talk and Spiritual Talk really fell under the themes of our show and the content, and we saw there was an audience there straight away. So it kind of just galvanized the idea that was already there.
And one of the most fantastic things in terms of creators adopting onto TikTok as well is that it starts with an organic reach. And unlike a lot of other platforms where you need to have a following to begin, TikTok, once it sees a good quality video or something that is generating interest, it will push it out to people.
Our first episode went kind of viral. We hit 1 million views in like 24 hours or something.
It's hard to say like why that first episode went so well.
There is definitely a queer community on TikTok, and probably through hashtags, queer talk and LGBT and stuff like that, we just landed on the right people's For You pages.
The Hemsworths. I think we could get them. Like, they live in Byron apparently, which is only a 9-hour drive. He could just come in, pop his head in and just set the vibe. The 1-minute episodes gave us like honestly exciting creative constraints that made it so much better. It made it really easy and fun to write.
As TikTok expands the duration of content, of videos that you can post, it'll probably invite more creatives and invite more filmmakers.
And now that TikTok is moving towards 10 minutes, I think it's something that while being used, does need to be used with caution, because 10 minutes is a very long time when you are primarily a scrolling platform.
Just because it's 10 minutes doesn't mean to say everyone has to be 10 minutes. So it's got to do with what are you producing?
What does this mean? And why is it important to know that we have such different definitions?
Framing a TikTok series with the frame being 9:16 was a really interesting process. And so a lot of it meant that wider shots were either perfectly composed with a lot of symmetry because it was Crystal putting on a show, or wider frames were incorporated into the blocking of the series. So, you know, Crystal's on the phone and then she puts her phone down there and walks over there.
The challenge is exciting. So for me as a writer, like, you have to think about that frame straight up, always. The frame, the caption, you know, the way the likes and comments run up the side. You kind of have to think about all of that. And if it's not gonna work, you script it in another way.
The vertical frame, I mean, it changed everything. And I think definitely it helped us out in the 3rd season because we had to be at a formal. We didn't quite have enough people to fill it out. So the vertical frame can really help you out with, you know, cheating it and making it look a little more full.
When you're filming, you do have to think about framing. And I suppose one of the things that we're filming on an iPhone.
And choosing to use the iPhone was very, very deliberate because we want to create on what people are viewing it on. And it's that sense of when you're scrolling that it feels part of the TikTok world.
We used a Canon C70. The C70 had an ability to shoot vertically and still shoot 4K, and so it was a really good camera to use for this kind of series.
I think it was our cinematographer's Ari, and he flipped it onto the side. He had it attached to himself and then like just literally flipped it on the side.
It was funny one day being like, what's the setup? Like, how have you like done this? It's amazing. And he was like, I've literally flipped it. And we were like, of course, you literally flipped it.
We haven't had time to talk about it.